Buzz Williams joins us here courtside. Coach, your thoughts after this win over 15th-ranked Auburn?
Well, as we mentioned in the pregame, we felt as a staff, even as a team, that the test tonight was going to be the same test that we got against Kentucky. Can we put pressure on the rim on both sides of the ball? The real score will be determined by offensive rebounds and defensive rebounds. And I thought that there was great symmetry and connectedness in the ebb and flow, the time score momentum of the game. I thought we took a step in a very positive way relative to our maturity. They've been ranked 31 weeks in a row. They have the longest home court winning streak. And the one thing that I mentioned to our guys, I said, you guys are so young, you don't know this, but they used to have phones that didn't have caller ID. And I said, so like when I was your age, you had to answer the phone and you didn't know who was on the other end. So I know you guys don't know that, but let's act like the screen on your phone.
They might have seen a movie like that sometimes.
Let's act like the screen on your phone is broke, but it still rings. When you answer the phone and your mom says hello, you immediately know it's your mom. And if your grandmother calls you and your phone's broke and you answer the phone, as soon as she says hello, you know it's your grandmother. We have to only hear one another's voices tonight. We cannot partake in the voices of anybody else. Not the crowd, not the opponent, not the officials. We have to stay dialed in to our recipe, and we all know that, and we can hold one another accountable to that. But when we're talking to one another, not me, when we're talking to one another, we're only registering the voices that we know. Everything else has to be white noise. And I thought that the poise that we played with, you guys know the score was 10-2.
Yep.
Right.
At some point early. Can you find out when that timeout was called? But whenever that was called,
yeah,
we had one turnover, I know.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it was bad.
No.
I didn't raise my voice at all.
17:40 left.
Yeah, so we
2 minutes in.
we played 2 minutes and 20 seconds, and the score is 10-2. And so then we played the rest of the game, and they scored 53 points. And we scored 77 points. But even in that timeout, I thought we had poise. Like we weren't out of sorts.
Right, right.
We weren't rattled. And the last 2 days, we've practiced halftime. We've practiced halftime at halftime of what we created for practice. And I tell them at halftime, okay, so everything's played out exactly the way that we thought relative to what they're best at, what we have to limit, what we have to do. Okay, so now here's the next test. It's the same test. It's just at a different period in time. It's like you have to take 2 tests on the same day in 2 different classes. Okay, that's what this is about to be. The test is occurring right now as we are in this locker room in halftime. The test has already started. And the test is going to last 100 minutes once we get out of here. And we know, I showed them different things about halftime on Monday, different things about halftime on Tuesday. And I thought, as good as we were in the first half, in many respects, I thought we took the largest step of growth in the second half. I never called a timeout in the second half.
Right.
And I told them that. They're all your timeouts. I don't want to call any. But if you call them, it's probably because we're not following our recipe. So y'all have the timeouts. I'm on your team if you call a timeout. But if we don't call a timeout, that means we're doing well on the test.
What was interesting to me, Buzz, and I don't know if you can use these two words in the same sentence, calmness with intensity.
Yes.
They were calm in intense moments, and that didn't stop. And one thing that you've always done with them that I believe, whether it's timeouts or in-game periods where there might be a mess-up, but they don't linger on it. And there were, even to start the second half when they changed the zone, and I think Wade got sloppy with the pass, and they lay it up. But they were right back into the next play.
There's only 3 signs in the gym that we, however you want to say that, when we refurbished, redecorated, when Mr. Roberts was so kind to help us. The first one is true confidence can only come from your work. So I can be Pollyanna. I can say whatever I want to say. You guys can say whatever you want to say. But true confidence, real confidence, it can only come from your work. And your work has to be daily if it's going to work at this level. Fight in the middle of the ring. Muhammad Ali never closed his eyes when he fought. And he worked really hard to fight in the middle of the ring. And the third sign is what's next. And those are single quotes around it. Single quote signifies that it's our language. You have to have the ability, good, bad, excited, sad, happy, upset, turnover, technical, and one, not and one. You have to have the ability emotionally, mentally, and physically to go to what's next. And just like I told them, there are lessons that we learned on Mondays. I always give them the lesson for the week. So we've been doing this 8 weeks. So the 8th lesson was disciplined stamina. Our disciplined stamina at Kentucky in the second half was not where it has to be, physically, mentally, or emotionally. And yes, Kentucky had a lot to do with that. But our stamina on being disciplined to know what we have to do, it was not good enough to win a quad 1 game on the road. So that was the lesson on Monday. But the what's next, somehow you have to be able to move on. And like I told them, I'm not trying to dampen what we just did. What we just did, in many respects, was historical. And there are people DMing us and texting us that are asking for tickets that we haven't heard from in forever. But if there were lessons to be learned from Kentucky's loss, that means there are lessons to be learned from Auburn's win. And as you guys know, we play the plus-minus game. So we're +3 at the 4.5-week mark of a 9-week schedule. And so now our disciplined stamina, our what's next, has to apply when we go back to work tomorrow, because it's 2 days before and we're going to get home at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And we have to be able to learn that lesson, that there's lessons from good things and there's lessons from bad things. And there has to be that, what you said, Coach, like there's a level of fire and intensity in how we work, but there's also a level of maturity and poise within that work. And that's rare to ever get that within Team Bus One. But we're on our way to that. And I think that the poise and the intensity that we played with mentally, physically, and emotionally tonight was, you could argue, as good as it's been all year.
And one other thing I was going to add to that, too, that goes with that education that they have. Offensively, them understanding what good shots are and who should have the ball.
We're doing better. Predictable. We defensive rebounded 77% of our shots.
No surprise shots.
Against the 3rd best offensive rebounding team in the league. And I don't know the percentage, but I would say it was in the low 30s. This deal says 32% of our missed shots. And like I keep telling them, we have a chance to rebound the ball when everybody knows. And I was telling them, you guys know we play with the bubble when you guys come to practice when we do the rebounding drill. And so they're smart kids. So the bubble has those literal
whelps on it.
Yeah, the whelps on it. So they try to drive it in there and shoot it where they hope that it's going to bounce their way, which is impossible. But it's actually smart. Coach Laird gets mad at him. I'm like, Coach, I kind of admire the
It's like little kids figuring out a way to beat the system.
I like the genius. I understand what you're saying. And he's like, well, it takes away from the drill. And I'm like, yeah, but the ball's still going to ricochet everywhere. But, yes, I understand. But I was telling them when we play white maroon, Solo is really, really, really smart. And 4 has that same level of IQ, EQ. So they're constantly maroon versus white, Solo on one team, 4 on the other. They're trying to be coy on how they're going to shoot it on the bubble. And I was telling them before the game, I go, hey, guys, I know y'all don't think that I know what's going on. I know what's going on. I just haven't tried to stop it because I appreciate the genius in it. But you guys know, like, before 4 shoots, he will say shot. He will say shot so that the go-get guys are already on their way. Mm-hmm. I said, guys, mathematically tonight, I would rather 4 dribble across half court and wait till he wants to shoot and literally play it like we play the bubble. Ready? Shot.
Right.
So that there goes Dex, there goes Boots, there goes Andy, there goes Henry, there goes Jew. Because we're so dependent on our offense getting a portion of their points from points per possession. Mm-hmm. And I told him, you have to win. You have to shoot more balls. We would shoot more balls if we don't turn it over and if we just dribbled across and said, 4, you shoot every ball tonight.
We know it's coming.
And like when Boots was cooking in the first half,
wow.
4 said, Coach, he's doing what you said. I said, yeah, he does do what I said. But he ain't trying to be coy about it.
he's been around you longer.
I know. Yeah, that's my point. Like, everybody knows. And so when we get offensive rebounds, now we have a chance to also get fouled. And if we're not doing that, which I know we didn't for real, but I'm saying if we don't turn it over, now we have a chance to get fouled. So we shoot 24 free throws at 83% clip, and we shoot 55 balls, and they shoot 48. In a game on the road, Kentucky shot 18 more balls than us. It was 59-57. It was 63-61. It was 65-61. And then now the game, they score 7 out of their last 8 points because we have to foul. Yeah, but it's because they have had so many more possessions than us. Partly our turnover rate, but partly they were whipping us so bad on the offensive glass.
That's it.
Lesson learned.
The things that you pointed out in that game, you talk about learning as you go, turnovers, value the ball on the road, and then offensive glass.
They were the 10th. They are the 10th best defense in the country. A lot of it is because of live ball turnovers. Mm-hmm. They force 14.5 turnovers. That equates to about 22% of the possessions of the opponent. You're giving it to them.
An open floor.
And tonight we played 66 possessions, and we turned it over 9 times. So I don't know what that percentage is, but that's dramatically better than the 23% we turned it over at Kentucky.
And out-rebounded them, out-offensive rebounded as
well.
we
beat them 9-7 on the offensive glass. We beat them 23-21. And like I was telling you, I think this morning, I kind of I didn't get upset, but I had an upset tone when I talked to the team yesterday.
I think you were upset.
It's such a thin line. We offensive rebound 4% better than they do. Mm-hmm. We defensive rebound 4% better than they do. And like you said on the radio show a month ago, 4% is more real than the actual number, but the percent is based on the pace. Yeah, and you don't think 4%. Yeah, 4% is 2 rebounds each way. That's the game.
Yeah.
That's the game.
Well, it was also interesting. They made that the crowd got all hot and lathered when they had the run out and they dunked. That was on a turnover in broken floor, right?
Yes, sir.
That was the only one in the half.
Yeah.
That's the only point that you gave up in transition off a turnover.
Yeah, just play with really, really, really good poise and symmetry and cohesiveness and connectedness. There wasn't a lot of, hey, man, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And when there was something that broached that level, the whole organization was, hey, man, we ain't doing that. Oh, okay. Yeah,
Same page.
My bad.
Yeah.
Man, that's
big.
in this environment when it gets you, you feel like you're a little unsettled and you need to tape pennies on your ears to have balance. Like, hey, man, I feel like I'm surfing in here. Like, that's hard to do. That's hard to do.
Congratulations. Thank you so much.
Man,
for
I'm so
joining with us.
grateful. So grateful.
You got it.
Thank
you, Buzz. 79-63. We'll wrap up.